Alright, so this is part 2 of the medicine. I spoke on black crime in part 1 because you cannot have an honest conversation about police racist bias without having an honest conversation about black crime. Y'all probably gonna hate me after this one. So let's get to it. What if I told you blacks were 3 times more likely to be confronted by a police officer? You would agree. Riot in the streets. What if I told you that we commit over 50% of the crimes in the US, but we only make up about 13% of the population? Did you know that a police officer was 18% more likely to be killed by a black man than a black man to be killed by a police officer? Think about that for a moment. Now, if this is your first time hearing this, I understand why. Because when people talk about blacks being killed by police officers, they don't talk about the why. Those two statistics are never on the same page unless they realize the same thing that I realized. Long video short, if you decrease black crime, you would decrease the confrontational percentage in the black community, period. But if you got a couple minutes, I'll tell you why I think that. I'll take you the long way. History has a lot to do with the environment that we're raised in. But for the most part, history is just that. It's history. These statistics are from recent years, not the 1950s. Pulling from 2012, the CDC reports show police killed 2 times more whites than blacks, while blacks killed over 5 times that amount of other blacks the same year. So it's not much of a white racist cop issue. That's just what the media shows you, leaving out important black crime statistics and uninformed celebrities spreading false information. The media has changed your perception. I did a quick search on unarmed white males. Grabbed the first few that showed up. This list is mostly unarmed white males that was killed by police officers in 2015. And get this, a couple had mental health issues, a couple had toy guns, a few was running away. One of them even had a spoon, S-P-O-O-N, spoon, all killed. But you haven't heard a word. Because unarmed white men isn't news. It doesn't cause controversy between the races. Y'all, I looked through the internet for hours looking for something to tell me different. From what I can see, there's a desire for civil disobedience. The media has the ability to distort reality. Man, I feel the screen getting hot. Relax. Before you call me a sellout, Uncle Tom, or whatever, I like facts. And I get it. Throughout history, we was raised by violence, separation from our families, no reparations to help, and drugs being funneled through the communities. Jim Crow? Pause. Did you know children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to commit a crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison? The side effects of an absent father also include depression, suicide, early sexual activity, addiction, difficult building and holding on to loving relationships. Removing the father from the black home was one of the greatest and most tragic tactics made in US history. That's why black fathers got a bad rap, because even black fathers have problems absorbing responsibility because of the negative historical upbringing of the black father. Most don't know how to be a father because they never seen it. That's only a piece of the historical black foundation that we was built on. Back in the day, we had to do what we had to do, but we cannot continue to blame others for something. For the most part, we now control. Always playing the victim card slows the process. We have to have an honest conversation between blacks and blacks before we have a conversation about anything else. It's hypocritical. Before I go on, let me say, I'm sure not all incidents are reported. Yeah, sometimes cops make mistakes. Yes, there are racist cops. They're not perfect people, just like us, and they should be held accountable, every single one. You know, the average officer is just a human being trying to protect you and me. They feel fear, love, and hope just like everybody else. And that's a good thing. Well, if they are scared, they need to quit. What kind of robot are you looking for? You do not want a cop without emotions, just ruthless, scared of nothing. I promise you, you want cops with compassion. You know, hats off to them because they confront danger every day while we just sit back and ring the bell when we need them. Okay, so how do we change it? Same 2 principles from part 1, perception and respect. My dad taught me to respect authority no matter who they are. My elders, no matter who they are. Listen, y'all, it's extremely rare that you beat a cop in a traffic stop. You beat them in court, on paper. I've been stopped plenty times, and to be honest, most of those times, if not all of them, I was doing something wrong. I was breaking the law. I was speeding. My tent was too dark. Yeah, cops can be petty sometimes, but my overall goal is to get home safe. I have a family regardless of what's going on. I'm always respectful. I get my license, my cards, what you need. I got a McDonald's coupon in here for a free ice cream. If I think that they're wrong or not, I sign the ticket and go. I'm not about to cuss and be disrespectful to a cop because I feel disrespected. You're in his world. You're in his house. That is where he thrives. What is disrespect really? Mess around and end up in a situation, or worse, dead. All because I felt disrespected. Disrespect isn't going to raise my daughter, so why die over it? If there's no physical danger, I ain't gonna lie, I shut up. Remember, the number one priority is to get home safe. Now look y'all, I'm not telling you to sit down and be physically harmed and disrespected. Respectfully stand your ground if it's worth it, without violence and arguments. Just use your best judgment, because I've never seen someone fight a cop and the cop get up and say, "You won, bro. You free to go. You got me that time. You free to go." And see, by keeping your cool, you will gradually help our perception and the stereotype, whether the cop knows it or not. Marching and protesting are great practices to draw awareness, spark a change. They work well with paper issue, things you can change by signing a piece of paper, like voting, ending segregation, slavery. But unfortunately, this particular issue, like mental slavery, takes time. In 2015, the US population was around 321 million, with about 635,000 of those guys being police officers. While performing their job, those cops came in contact with around 53 million citizens. And out of that 53 million, unfortunately, 994 people were killed by the police. 498 of those guys were white, and 261 of them was black. That's around 26%. Even though we only make up 13% of the population. But it makes sense because we commit over 50% of the crime in the US. Think about it like this. Did you know 95% of the people killed by police officers are male? It's simple. Because males commit over 90% of the crimes in the US. So most people that the police are confronting are males. But should the men hit the streets and protest sexist cops? Of course not. Or should we take responsibility for our own actions? If men would lower the percentage of crimes being committed, it will lower the percentage of males being confronted by the police. So what about Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter supposedly shines light on the unfairness that the black race faces, which they do when it's convenient. They're just like the media, if you ask me. You ever wonder why you don't see Black Lives Matter in the hood? Protesting when an unarmed black man is killed by another black man? Is that not the same? Somebody wasn't armed and somebody lost their life. Where's the protesting? It's normally for large cases, including the right ingredients. Unarmed black man and white cop. At least Black Lives Matter do their research first. Just last year we had a riot here in Memphis over a 20-year-old black guy, Brandon Weber, that was killed by a US Marshal. But the facts are, the black guy, Brandon, killed another guy in Mississippi and stole his car. And when the marshals catch up with him serving the warrant, he rams their car multiple times with the stolen car that he stole, then he got out of the car with a weapon and he was killed. And black folks had a fit. That's right. The community rioted because a murderer was killed trying to murder more people. Of course they didn't know that, but it shows you the importance of not jumping to conclusions. A group of uninformed individuals injured about 36 other officers that was called there just to keep the peace. You do know police officers have a family too, right? Damaged cars, police cruisers, property, stuff that you're gonna pay with your tax money. It shows that some people didn't have the patience to wait for facts. The loss of any life is tragic. Seeing stuff like that, in most cases I'm judged because I want the whole story before I come to a conclusion. Jumping on somebody's side just because they black. Because black people lie too. Black people can be racist too. Black people try to get over too. That guy even posted a video on Facebook saying that the cops won't go catch him. Criminals put themselves in these situations and they will kill you without a second thought. Armed or not, just to keep from going to jail. I see some people complain when the cop says, "Stop resisting." They say, "He's not resisting." You do know in most cases you cannot see resistance on video. You can only feel it. If I put my hand here and I put my hand here, do you see the resistance? I'm resisting. But you can't tell, can you? And sometimes people ask, how did the cops take those mass shooters but manage to kill the others? Mostly about resistance and obedience in some cases. Normally mass shooters don't have animosity with the cops, so they show zero resistance because who they wanted to kill, they already did. They obey orders. That's how they stay alive. I asked some of my black police officer friends. They tell me how the public only sees a very limited side of police work. We don't see the countless criminals randomly shooting at them because they don't want to go to jail. They don't want to get caught. And you probably thinking that you probably never been pulled over before. You think I'm too light-skinned for that? I've been pulled over into court more than you and your mama. I mean, what you mean? What color you want? I never been to jail and my license never been suspended. Like I said, you gotta know how to navigate the court. I might know what I'm talking about. Interacting with the police is something that I'm familiar with. And anybody that know me know I grew up in the hood. I just didn't let the environment dictate who I was gonna be. There's a saying, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. The Bible says the same. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Yeah, that came from the Bible. I want you to know, not all cops are bad. Not all black people are criminals. Every cop interaction is different. That's for my people that say, if it was a black guy, there are different cops. There's different situations, different environments. We don't know what would happen. Racist cops are not the overall issue here, y'all. Out of the millions of interactions that you see every year, you ever wonder why you only see maybe 2 or 3 huge black with white cop incidents? Out of millions. It's more of a black crime, police training, what the media is feeding you issue. Now that's the sickness. Changing our and their perception of us, changing our actions, giving and receiving more respect is the medicine. Love one another. Look, we are here to do great things together. If you are stereotyping someone over the color of their skin, you could be missing out on a great relationship. That goes for blacks too. Forget what you have been taught. Let's create history that our children will be proud to read about. A world that our children will be proud to live in. If you made it this far, just let me know what you think. This is my opinion from countless sources. If you agree, share this video. If you don't, share this video. You know, let's start a conversation. That's where it starts at. Conversation, y'all. Conversation. Because change starts with us.